Hello, this is Paul Nisi with FrontTowardsGamer.com, and we are today reviewing the Samsung Series 7 Gamer laptop. As you can see here, this is a very large laptop meant for gaming. It has a 17.3-inch screen, and let's start from the outside. On the outside, we have two USB 3.0s. We have a display port, an HDMI, power cord, the Ethernet, of course the mic in and the audio. And on the right hand panel we have two USB 2.0s and the Blu-ray DVD player. Alright, let's open this up. This is what Samsung calls their super bright screen. And while that's starting up, we'll go over some of the specs. It has a third generation quad-core i7 3610Q, which has 2.3 with a turbo boost of 3.3 gigahertz. Inside, you'll also find 16 gigs of RAM. That is the maximum you can have, as well as a NVIDIA GeForce GTX 675M, meant for gaming. This has 2 gigs of dedicated RAM, and you'll find that it does very well for gaming. But let's start on here. As you can see, it also has a 1.5 terabyte hard drive, two separate hard drives combined to 1.5. That has 8 gigs of cache, which is basically a hybrid drive, allowing it to start up within 30 seconds. The 8 gigs is really only meant for the operating system, so you're not going to be able to use that for storage, but it lets it start up and run some of the operating background faster without less noise and everything. As you can see, this also has a very bright screen. This screen, actually, I really like this screen. It works well as you can see, as well as it has a full keyboard with the number pad. This quickly became actually a really easy to use keyboard. At first it took a little while to get used to because the number pads are larger and they are spaced together. While not a complete as good a job for gaming as a mechanical keyboard, this is better than obviously chiclets or most standard keyboards. The touchpad is a multi-touch, so you can do the scrolling by 2 fingers or zooming in and out. One thing I did notice is when you're going online or some of these web pages and some applications, since it's such a large screen, there is obviously some scaling that is done. So you may want to zoom in or out to help fix some of that. One of the main features of the Samsung Series 7 Gamer is this little dial that you can switch between 4 modes, so let's go over that. First mode you have is the green mode. This mode underclocks everything, puts a little bit down, saves energy by lowering the processing requirements, and overall just pushes it down a little more to save battery life. While originally it will say it has about 3.5 hours of battery, in reality we got close to that, about 3.5 battery. But obviously the more you use it, the more intensive. If you're surfing the web a lot, you're going to get less. This isn't uncommon for a gaming laptop to have reasonably low battery. The next setting is library mode. As the name implies, it is meant for a group setting, something where you don't want to bother people around you. This will automatically mute the sound system as well as mute the fans in the back. This keeps it lower, but obviously you're not going to be able to push the processor very far or anything like that because it doesn't have the fan to help cool it and everything, so that's lowered as well. The next mode is called the balance, which is pretty much standard. This is where people will be spending most of their time. As you can see, the keyboard lights up on a light blue, as well as the sound system comes back on, and the screen brightens up and allows the processor to work at a normal speed processing. So most people spend most of their time here. The next mode is their gamer mode. We'll let it do its little Maybe a little much for some people, but it just lets you know you go into gamer mode. As well as, if you notice, the speakers light up red. This will react to the sound coming from any game or anything you're playing. The speakers' red lights will react with sound, going brighter and coming up as the sound comes on. The sound system is a 2.1 surround. It's a Dolby Home Theater version 4. Actually really good. Impressive for a laptop to actually have decent speakers in it. You can also plug in a home theater system if you want surround sound for 5.1 or 7.1 surround sound. Or if your headphones allow it, you can also plug it into the headphone jack. It will allow 5.1 or 7.1 surround sound. One other bonus of switching it into gamer is you have a little icon that you can choose what you want it to do. One of the options is to disable the trackpad, so you won't be able to move it with the trackpad. This comes in handy when you're trying to use the keyboard. You don't accidentally graze against the trackpad. That's a very good bonus, as well as you can automatically have it brighter or lower depending on your gaming style. So basically you can customize your gaming experience with this option, and you can change it. So it's not just going in and getting more power. Speaking of which, putting in the gamer mode does push the processor a little bit higher. You'll get better performance. Well, how well does this equate? Well, we tried it on a number of games. We tried it on Deus Ex Human Revolution, as well as Diablo 3 and Blacklight and some others. And we found that majority of the time, the frame rates were at 60, relatively around 60 or above. If you take the averages, it ended up being around 60 frames a second, which is right where the eye can't really tell more than 60, so anything above that is just added bonus. But also the lows never really dipped at or below 30, which is what people will consider a smoother frame rate. The only time it did dip lower is on Blacklight, where online games, online only, because that's dependent on your internet system as well as the signal it's receiving. So if the signal stops or it's loading, obviously your frame rate's going to drop. But what's important is during gameplay, we found around 60 frames a second. That's really good for a laptop. Most times, especially since during the frame rate test, we had it at 1080p, full 1080p, running at the highest settings that the game would allow. So for example, for Diablo, we put anti-aliasing, we put alt shadows, we put everything up, high, smooth, everything ran great. Another bonus, as you'll see on the keyboard, is it lights up WASD for your gaming needs. Well, if you're not gaming, and you switch it back to balance, how does it do on your regular computing? If you're taking it to school and you're doing Excel processes, or you're doing Access, or you take it to work and you're doing Access or Excel. Well, the processor is great. It has the 2.3 to 3.3 gigahertz, and the 16 gigs of RAM really pushes it. You can handle most of everything, as well as video editing and photo editing. We actually made video on this, what you're seeing now. So, and I'm not very expert on video editing, so it came out quicker, faster, and it works better. So, what will this run you? Some stores will have between $1,600 and $1,800. Mostly you'll find that you can either get something slightly below, or if you want something equal to this, you'll end up spending a little bit more. So Samsung really did package in a nice system. So on our score scale, we go up to 5.0. We're giving this a 4.5 out of 5. We had to detract a little bit because of the weight. It does have 8 pounds. If you take in the brick for the power source, it's 11 pounds. It's a large system. It's very bulky. Commuting and using it as your everyday laptop, if you're doing a lot of moving, it's not very portable, which is what you're looking for a laptop. Also, if you run it for more than 5 or 6 hours and you're having the overclocking gamer mode, you may find that the keyboard heats up. The fans do a generally good job of keeping the system cool on normal, but when you're overclocking it, it does warm up. You might want to build in some breaks, and you don't really want to do that on a system this nice. You want to just keep gaming all day if possible. The fact that you have to take, say, half an hour or so breaks every few hours, it's just requirements, and we don't like that the keyboard heats up. On the other hand, you're getting a lot out of this system, and for what they're offering for the price, this is an amazing system. We had a lot of fun with this. Quickly became one of my personal favorites. Even the keyboard, which I'm usually not a fan of the number pad became one of my favorites to use. So, I hope you enjoyed this review. Again, a 4.5 out of 5. That's great. And if you would like to see more reviews, like this video, subscribe. We'll be hopefully doing some more video reviews coming up soon on fronttowardsgamer.com. Again, this is Paul Nisi from Front Towards Gamer. Thank you very much.